Okay, I guess we're live here. All right, what's up, y'all? This your boy Tank G, coming from the south side of Chicago, probably the most, or one of the most fucked up neighborhoods in the country. Um, I normally don't do shit like this. You know, I go on YouTube a lot. I believe that self-education is more powerful than any education you can get from Harvard. So I do use YouTube a lot of time as a way to, try to self-educate myself. I don't believe a lot of stuff that you're hearing in school, with the exception of maybe math. Everything outside of that is culturally biased, and I don't think it's too many people that would disagree with that. But I've been watching a couple of YouTube videos about black people stop blaming white people, for your fuck ups or what you don't have or whatever case may be. I'm gonna give a little brief background because I know that YouTube like for you to upload videos in like 10-15 minute installments, so I'm gonna be brief. Growing up, I was a typical young brother. I got into gang banging and selling drugs at a young age. I got shot when I was real young. Typical stuff that a lot of young brothers go through. And I got shot, and it turned me around a little bit into to the point to where I at least started to consider and look at other things that didn't have anything to do with the G code or the street rules, or what have you. Okay, and as time go on, with God in my life, I just started to get better and better and better and better in terms of leaving things alone that I chose to leave alone. Personally, my life in terms of like financial and all that shit, that didn't change. But the way I looked at things, having this desire to self-educate or self-medicate, if you will, that got better. That got a lot better. Let me see. So, I went through my 20s. I had a couple of kids by, two different women. And, that shit didn't work out that well. The relationship part didn't work out. And at least with my first kid's mom, a lot of that was my fault in terms of the relationship. I blame a lot of being young, stupid, uneducated, just making dumb, terrible decisions, being angry and bitter, and just having a resentment toward women. And, all of that just played a part in my decisions, and all of that just played a part in why I could say that I think I really screwed up my first relationship with my first kid's mom. But not to get off the subject, my thing is this: we got a lot of brothers out here who say you can't blame the white man for what you don't have, or you need to get off your butt and blah 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 and this, that, and the other. First and foremost, this is one of the things I don't understand. Why is it that you got black men or black women who say you can't blame the white man for why they don't talk about all the black folks who got these bullshit minimum wage jobs, but yet they still get a link card? Well, in the state of Illinois, they call it a link card. And to the rest of the country, y'all probably know it as welfare or food stamps. Why they don't talk about that? Why they don't talk about how the average black woman, that work an $8, $9, $10 an hour job, who may have two kids or whatever, she still receive public assistance? You got a lot of black men who work a job, and they get a link card, man. They get food stamps. My thing is what about those type of people? Because you hear a lot of the blacks that say, stop blaming white people for your fuck ups and this, that, and the other. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about how you got a motherfucker like me, right? And I use me as an example, but I'm not the only person who, I didn't go back to school. I dropped out of high school. Well, I dropped out because they told me they was going to put me back as a freshman. It was like at the end of my sophomore year. And, they was like, you ain't got enough credits to be a junior. We're going to have to put you back as a freshman. You dig? Now, I would have been 17 by the time my junior year started. I ain't nowhere in hell I'm going back to freshman year to be in the classroom with a bunch of 13, 14-year-old kids. So I was like, fuck y'all. And I stopped coming. You dig? And I went to CVS, which was a very good school. Still is. CVS is still a very good school. But, so I stopped. I dropped out. I tried to do the Job Corps shit. That didn't work out. In my 20s, I went to I think I've been to damn near every city college, with the exception of probably Daly College. to try to get my GED. And, you know, I allowed a lot of things. I let the pressures of life, I let the fact that I had children and I was a grown man, whether if I wanted to accept it or not, I allowed that to deter me to finish. So by the time I turned 30 or maybe 31, I was like, man, I got to do something, you know what I'm saying? So I bought into this education bullshit, because it is. If education was so important, and if education was so much of the fucking key, why do they make it damn near unattainable to have? Why is it that if education is so motherfucking important, you go to one school and you get some credits, you dig, and then you try to go off into another motherfucking school and they won't accept the motherfucking credits, you hear me, that you got from the previous school? But education supposed to be so motherfucking important. See, this is shit people, see, my problem with people, man, whether they black, white, or whatever, motherfuckers don't want to talk about everything. They'll take a memoir, if you will, and they'll outline certain things within the text, and they'll pinpoint that, and they'll leave out the rest of the motherfucking you did. And that's the problem that I have. When motherfuckers talk about going to school, oh, it's important, it's the key to life, and blah, 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 then why won't this other motherfucking school over here accept the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that I put in at this school over here if education's supposed to be so motherfucking important? Now, don't misunderstand me. Education is very important. I just think that self-education is more important than any motherfucking education you get from Harvard, Yale, Talladega, Tuskegee, or wherever. That's just me. That's just how I feel. Because if it was so motherfucking, if it was so important, you would make it so hard to get. And a lot of that comes from the fact that you have to have shifts and balances with competition. See, if everybody had an ability to go to Harvard, which is supposed to be a very prominent school, you dig? If everybody had the same avenue to get to Harvard, then that means you would level off the playing field in terms of competition. You can't do that. That's one of the reasons, but I ain't gonna get into all that. Now, getting back to this whole thing about, well, you can't blame white people for your mistakes and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. White folks is the motherfuckers that closed down the 50 schools in Chicago. Wasn't no niggas responsible for that. The 50 schools that they closed, what was your reason for closing them? Wasn't nobody in the school? You didn't have no students to make up the classrooms? You didn't have a principal? You didn't have a PTA faculty or something? Hell no, that wasn't the reason. But yet they closed the fucking school. Who was responsible for that? Because the damn sure wasn't no blacks. Why they talking about you can't fault motherfuckers? In the famous words of my main man Nino Brown, don't none of us own a poppy field. Ain't no Uzis made in Inglewood. I just use Inglewood instead of Harlem because I ain't from New York, I'm from Chicago. Ain't no motherfucking Uzis made in Inglewood, man. But yet the same motherfuckers who are responsible for closing down our schools is responsible for putting these fucking guns in our neighborhood. Now don't misunderstand me, guns don't kill people, people kill people all day long. That's just the bottom line, that's just how it works. But when you look at the fact that ain't no motherfucking Uzis made in Inglewood, don't no niggas work for Smith & Wesson. You dig? Don't no fucking black men work for Colt. That's all white folks shit. You are putting black men in jail for the same amount of cocaine and giving them more time than a white boy. Whose fault is that? If you can't blame the black man for nothing. Now, I can't really go exactly into where racism come from, like where it derived from, but I know that the leaders of racism in the United States is the white man. They still denying black people home loans. They still denying black people loans for businesses. And, you know, in Chicago, it's a big thing about how there are not enough black people working construction. You driving up and down the street and you see the motherfucking roads being torn up and repaved and this, that, and that. How many motherfucking niggas you see doing that shit? Now, the fact of the matter is this. What you telling me, there ain't no black construction workers? Why is it in Chicago, most of the black men and women that are police officers are patrolling neighborhoods where there ain't nothing going on? Lincoln Park, downtown, Wicker Park, places where there ain't a whole lot of shit going on. But then you turn around and you put all the white motherfuckers in Inglewood, in Chatham, in the Austin neighborhood. You understand? Where all the shit is going on. And then a lot of these motherfucking police officers that are patrolling downtown, you see more black men and women that are police officers patrolling downtown where there's absolutely practically no fucking crime at all than you see in their own fucking neighborhoods where they grew up at. Whose fault is that? There's been a big thing about how they're still not hiring minorities as firemen. The Chicago Fire Department is one of the most racist fire departments in the country. You know, they talk about the LAPD and how they are. Trust me, man, you niggas from Los Angeles need to come to Chicago. Get down with the boys in blue in Chicago. You motherfuckers talk about the LAPD. Come to Chicago. Come to Chicago. These motherfuckers is fucked up here. So my thing is, there's enough blame for everybody. Should we be having a bunch of kids with no way of taking care of them? No, we shouldn't. But that's a trick. That's a trick bag. You make it hard for a motherfucker to become successful as a way of trying to promote depopulating the population. Because anybody with a half a motherfucking brain know that I probably shouldn't be having no motherfucking kids. I'm homeless. I live under a viaduct. Fuck, I look like getting this broad pregnant. People know that. I ain't having no children. I can't afford to take care of no children. That's a sucker move. Because it's your God-given right. The Bible tells you to be fruitful and multiply. What the fuck do you think that means? If a motherfucker is preventing you from having children by making it difficult for you to obtain an education, by making it difficult for you to get a motherfucking job, because like I said, the whole thing with construction workers and people who tear up the streets and fix the viaducts and all that shit, with them not hiring no black men and women, that's been a big issue in this country for at least 20 years. You're not having a bunch of black contractors bidding on contracts and shit, or them not getting contracts because they bidding on them, they just ain't getting them. Who the fuck fault is that, man? Then motherfuckers talk this bullshit about, well, you know, if it ain't no job, you got to go out there and create a motherfucking job for yourself. And it's like, okay, I hear that, but once again, you're not talking about every motherfucking thing. People who talk that shit don't know about Black Wall Street. They don't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1931, when we had our own motherfucking stock market. When all these motherfuckers was coming back home from World War I. Because if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this was before World War II even kicked off. Motherfuckers was coming back home from World War I. All these white boys, they had no education. They came back, they salty, licking their wounds from this fucking war. They couldn't find a motherfucking job. Look what they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1931, man. Do your motherfucking research while you talking about get off your ass and this, that, and the other. I fought for custody of my motherfucking kids. Well, at least one of them anyway. I only got two. My second baby mama. I fought for custody of him. And I had a legitimate reason to get custody of him. Anytime child abuse is in the mix, you dig? You got a legitimate right to get custody of your shorty, to get him out of this motherfucking danger. You hear me? But when I went to court, all they could do is find negative shit about me. Oh, you ain't got a job. Oh, you ain't got your own place. Oh, you ain't got this. Fuck the fact that I was in school, though, because I was in school going back and forth to court to fight for custody for him. The director of education, my instructors, all the motherfuckers was like, man, just take leave of absence, family, and just come back. We'll be here, you dig, when you come back. And I told him, I said, man, I got to do it. I gotta stay, because if I don't, I ain't coming back. I know I ain't. If I take leave of absence, I ain't coming back. And I know it. I know me. I know who I am. So you know what I did? I plowed through it. Graduated on time. So don't talk this bullshit, man. My thing is, talk about every motherfucking thing. Yeah, it's a lot of black people fault. You got sellouts like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and all these motherfuckers who's supposed to be our black leaders and shit, who where you look at our neighborhood, shit is worse than ever. But don't sit up here and tell me that you cannot blame the white man, because that's bullshit. We ain't never been reprimanded for nothing. We never got no reparation for nothing that ever happened to us. The Japanese Americans that was in this country, when they dropped them bombs on Pearl Harbor and Nagasaki, before they did that, they went around the country and rounded up all the Japanese that came from Japan over here prior to the war and put them motherfuckers in concentration camps. You dig? And when the war was over, they let them go and say, hey, for you. Nothing like that has ever been done for us. Nothing. Our whole way of living in this country has been by the white man. Christianity is a fucking joke. Catholic, that shit is a joke. Really, you get to go to confession on Sunday and confess your sins, and then you think you can just miraculously start over and do the same fucking shit that following week and come back to church that Sunday and confess again? It's a fucking joke. A lot of motherfucking shit can be blamed on the white man. Us not having our own native tongue can be blamed on them. Us not having our own culture can be blamed on them. Us not wanting to accept my hair for being the way that it is can be blamed on them. The fuck is you talking about? But it's enough blame for everybody. Can you blame just the white man? Hell no, because you got some black folks out here, man. When it come down to their own people, they just as treacherous. So I'm not saying that, you know, the white man is the only culprit, you dig? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you a dumb motherfucker if you think I'm finna honor and accept you telling me to stop blaming the white man for shit that's going on. You crazy than a motherfucker, man. They still putting black men in jail unjustly, man. And it's the white folks that are doing it. Don't misunderstand me. You got some black criminal judges, because I've been in front of a couple of them when I was doing my dirt and going to jail and shit. So yeah, you got some. But when you look at the black men and women that are judges in the criminal court system, they're outnumbered 8-1 by their white counterpart. So who you think really putting us in prison? Come on, man. And I mean, that's all I'm saying. If you're going to talk about everything, if you're going to talk about, you know, talk about it all. Yeah, black people are a problem. Black people don't understand, particularly black women. They don't understand that whole thing about weave and hair pieces. All that came from was doing integration. When they say, oh, we need to integrate. We don't need to fight each other. We don't need segregation. We need to integrate. Then the white man turned around and said, well, you know, yeah, integration is cool, but in order for you to hold this motherfucking job, bitch, you better straighten your hair. So guess what the bitch did? She straightened her hair. Or she put a fucking wig on and that hair was straightened. That's where it comes from. I had to tell my girl told me, oh, well, you know, I don't hate myself and, you know, this, that, and the other. I just like, you know, weave because it's creative. You can make different styles and, you know, they got hair shows and all this bullshit. And I said, that's all well and fine, family. That's all well and fine. You may really like that. You may have another black woman out here who like that. You dig? But I'm trying to tell you where the fuck it came from. Weave and all that shit came from integration. So yeah, that's a problem. When you ain't doing your history, when you're not doing your research on history as a black person, yeah, that's a problem. When you got these motherfucking niggas out here who think it's cool to pop these fucking kids or these women off with these babies and they ain't taking care of them, and in the hood, you more of a fly ass nigga opposed to how many bitches you got than what you know about your own fucking history. So yeah, that's a problem. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you can't blame blacks. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for you to sit up here and say, oh, stop blaming white people for your, man, get the fuck out of here. Fuck is you talking about? They control everything. Barack Obama don't control a motherfucking thing. He don't control nothing. Hell yeah, you can place your blame at the direct controller. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. When you don't own nothing and you don't control nothing, hell fucking yeah, blame can be placed outside of the black man.